your media buyer and your ad agency are lying to you. There's a good chance that your business coach has likely no idea what this actually is, because I'm going to give you a caution right now. I'm going to geek out really hard on some marketing stuff, because after selling my last multi-7-figure coaching business, and then after clocking over 220 hours consulting 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs, I'm now behind the scenes of running the marketing and sales system for some of the most successful coaching businesses. And I wanted to give you the actual what is working right now process for you to be able to build your business. As the fact is, one of the most important questions that you need to be answering as a coach is, what is the single best way for you to get new clients and keep them paying you more and for longer? Because my focus is, whenever I help grow a coaching business, is answering a few key questions so that we can have a predictable and reliable growth machine. And those questions are going to be, number one, where are my buyers coming from? 2, how much is it that is truly costing me to acquire a new client? And 3, how can I speed up the growth with ease? As one of the biggest problems that coaches are having today is that the person that's running their ads does 2 things really goddamn wrong. Number one, they don't actually truly understand what the system needs to do so that you can reliably sign on clients at a profitable rate that is going to help the bottom line. And 2, actually bringing and doing the marketing that is coherent with the sales system and with the delivery system as well. Because I've seen so many times coaches get maybe really good with the ads, they're getting leads, but then they're still saying to themselves, my bottom line isn't growing, or I'm not signing as many clients that I want every single week or every single month. And then they look to their ad agency that they're using, or the person that's running their ads, and that person's going to say, I'm getting you a great cost per lead. I'm getting you so many leads at the budget that you've given me. And the disconnect is, what that person's doing, running your ads, isn't actually coherent and cohesive with what the actual system needs to be for your bottom line to grow. Because in a very basic sense, they just need a system to get people that don't know them to know them, and then into their sales process to sign on as a new client. So either an in-house media buyer or an agency is reporting to you data that inflates the return on ad spend, ROAS. And I'll just cut to the chase with a couple of things. I don't give a rat's toot about ROAS or a cost per lead. And I'll show you exactly why with some key examples. Because the metrics can appear to have you successful, but they can mislead you about your growth. Because if you look at your advertising reports and they look good, but when you look at your bank balance and you don't get that warm, same fuzzy feeling, there is something wrong. And that's what we want to fix in this episode. Because when me and my team come in, we're analyzing marketing and ad efficiency and the sales processes, we're typically first actually reducing ad spend significantly. I'm talking about reducing ad spend from, say, $30,000 a month to $10,000 a month by identifying and eliminating the wasteful spending that's not actually contributing to the conversions and business growth. Why? Because I'm not focusing on return on ad spend. I'm actually focusing on NCAC, new customer acquisition costs. Because NCAC provides me with a genuine insight into what is actually the cost and effectiveness of acquiring a new customer or client and being able to have a metric that is sustainable, that's vital to be sustainable for growth in a long-term strategy. Because this process and the way of thinking to drive growth really underscores the importance of having a clean, reliable data and accurate attribution in marketing efforts. Now I'm going to pull on another thread right now because I said a word that I feel like a lot of coaches get wrong. Attribution. Now, a lot of coaches are thinking of their attribution wrongly or in too short of a time horizon. We really look at, ideally, at a 30-day time attribution as to what is happening right now. And you'll see, I highly suggest you do, if you watch the first episode in this free series of the course, it shows you the entire marketing and sales system, and then each episode I go deep, such as this one. But when you see the process and you see the complexity, which isn't really complexity hard to wrap your head around, but there are parts of the engine. When you see how all of the parts of this growth engine work, I don't look at, oh, I run this ad and it booked this person's call and I got this person to sell on a call, and therefore I can say this ad got me exactly this. That's not the case, because what's typically happening is, because we are in a trust crisis, we need to be able to increase consumption of content. We need to be able to get, ideally, your prospect to have that know, like, and trust factor, and to truly understand what it is that you do, and to be able to blow away any skepticism that's essentially holding them back from buying your stuff. So attribution isn't this, oh, really clean metric, because what typically will be happening is once we've set out the marketing system, somebody can see an ad. Then they're going to open an email. Then we want them to be able to see an IG clip. Then we want them to be able to listen to a podcast. Then they're going to see a retargeting ad. Then they're going to go watch an article or see a case study. And there's all these different factors, with all of those things actually then being able to reliably then bring them back into that sales process. So that's where we actually expand the time horizon. And I'm not going to be gunning for this perfect attribution of this one ad equals this person's sale straight away. It's a little bit murkier than that, because this also calls into question the reliability of the data provided by major platforms like your Facebook and like your Google, because there is a potential conflict of interest between these platforms benefiting from your increased ad spend. So this is where we actually build out our own scorecards for each and every partner, and internally for our own company, so that we're able to see what is really going on. Because the data that we can get from one platform, let's say in our CRM system, from the data that, let's say, Facebook or Meta gives us, from the data that Google gives us with YouTube ads, for example, they're all going to be conflicting. We need to make sense of it. So in a nutshell, we first strategically reduce ad spend by focusing on cutting out inefficient ads that do not contribute to the real growth. Thereby, we're actually then reallocating or saving resources without sacrificing performance. So holistically understanding how all of your marketing efforts work together is exactly the point, which is why I continue to bang on. This isn't just one straight line ad campaign. We need to have some complexity involved, which gives us, because when we do this, gives us more money and resources to double down on what is working. This is how we can start to get some really fast growth, because when we significantly are able to get cheaper NCAC, then we can significantly acquire more clients. Because remember, I did a crappy drawing on this on my iPad for you. All we're doing, the RMAS system, is we're able to put money at the start, and we're predictably and being able to see what is the profit going to be able at the end of it. And so we put some money in the start, it goes through the system, it gives us cash and a client at the end of it. Now with that cash, you take a big chunk of it and you put that in your back pocket. That's keep it. You get to spend that on all that fun stuff, but you take a little bit of that money and you go and acquire your next client. And when all we're doing, this is all we do with our partners, we just create that system so we can rinse and repeat that transaction as fast as possible. Now, does that make sense? Have you subscribed? If not, this is the best time for you to subscribe, whether you're on the YouTube or on the podcast. Why? Because it would be a bummer if you missed out on everything that's to come, or don't subscribe if you're not actually getting much value out of this, because there is a zillion other things that you could be doing. So I'd rather you go and do that. The ball's in your court. Because now what really comes down to like brass tacks and how this actually really works is there's going to be 5 foundational steps for this setup. So number 1, I want you to be able to level up your analytics and your reporting. I want you to set up your tracking and your reporting so you have a dashboard to see the numbers on a weekly cadence that shows you what's really going on. Because if you don't have that, you're honestly running blind, and I just don't think that's smart at all. Because too often I've asked for reporting from a head honcho or a CMO or a coaching business, and the reporting is just utterly wrong, or it's confusing, or it's just downright impossible to help us to actually know what is going on. Because all we want data so that I can make an educated decision to be able to do something that then gets me a better result. That's all we're doing. It ain't fucking rocket surgery at the end of the day. Now, secondly, we want to segment properly. Now, we want to be able to crack open your CRM and we want to have a good look inside and get prepared for some serious segmentation surgery, because you want to be able to separate leads from buyers to tire kickers to high value clients. And we want to be able to do that with some laser precision, because this isn't just about the organization, this is about the integration of your CRM, so we can seamlessly, with your marketing and your analytics platforms, we can aim for a flawless data stream to know who is turning into what. And then we know what type of ad is actually bringing us the quality client. And this is really important. I literally found this again just with us a couple of weeks ago. We were looking at ads and we go, the cost per lead was varied. And there was some really good cost per leads. There was some not so good cost per leads. Now, if I was just using a cost per lead, like so many ad managers are and agencies are using, because that's going to inflate how they look good, I would have been screwed, because the actual ads that were getting me the best cost per acquisition, the best NCAC, were not the ads that had the best cost per lead. Very big difference. And that is the difference between the quality of the leads, not just the quantity that we want to put in. Because number 3 in this process is we want to rethink your KPIs. So put NCAC in the spotlight alongside your traditional metrics like your customer lifetime value and your retention rate or your churn rate as well. Because this is going to shake the foundations of your current marketing strategy, because this is all about the alignment of your team with the right game plan, because success is going to look different and you want to make sure everyone's on board with that as well. Because number 4, the 4th step in this process is you want to audit and optimize your ad spend now. So this is where you're going to get your ad budget, you're going to get a good hard grip and reins on it. And you're going to roll up your sleeves so you can thoroughly audit through to see what's really going on, what's really producing the money. Because the question you want to ask yourself is, are you investing in new client acquisition or are you just burning cash? Serious question, because when we've come into more ad accounts that I could poke a stick at, we found so many ads and just campaigns that were just literally burning cash. They were just pissing it up against the wall, and we were able to then just take all of that stuff out, turn all of it off, and focus on a couple of winners that no one even knew that they were actually winning, that was actually the stuff that was making the money. We've been able to make a hell of a lot of money by turning things off and having a few winners just be able to run with it and us focus on the stuff that is actually working. Because if once you use your new shiny analytics, and once this is all set up, you're going to know your most efficient channels and your campaigns. Now, the 5th step is going to be, now you need to educate and pivot your team. This is really important, because you as a head honcho, like, you might be watching this and be like, hell yeah, Chris, I'm going to be focusing on NCAC now. I'm going to be getting some good reporting. I'm going to be ruthless, knowing what is actually going to be producing me money. I'm going to make these changes. If you don't get your team on board, I think you're going to be pushing shit uphill. That's not going to be fun, because they need to understand NCAC and they need to understand that the metrics that they could have been focusing on, even the metrics that you said to them are their KPIs and how their business or how they run their role, is incorrect. So you probably want them to watch this episode, but you want to be able to articulate to them the importance and how you're going to be making these changes. Because my personal belief is I don't build businesses. I build the people that build the businesses. That's what I do. And this can only happen by leveling up and creating the culture and support that is going to embrace the continuous learning and that agile adaptation. Because remember, shifting from ROAS to NCAC is more than just this little tactical pivot. It's really a mindset overhaul. Because one of the biggest underlying lessons throughout all of this that I've learned is that you need to bring your marketing and sales departments together. Don't think of them separately. Don't think of them separately, because I want my marketing, I want my sales, I want my delivery, and I want my operations. I want them to be a cohesive team coming together as well, because inside of your marketing department, there are too many coaches that separate their organic from their paid efforts. We see this all the time as well. You've got your organic, we're pumping YouTube videos, we're doing the Instagram posts, doing all of that stuff. And they've got this ad manager and they're running some ads and they're not thinking of these things together and how they cohesively help each other to be able to grow their business as well. And that's where we want to be able to not keep an arm's length between marketing and what's happening in actual sales as well. Because you want to be able to have your sales team that are having the conversations, you want them to be able to be giving the feedback, the actual words as to what's happening on the front lines to your marketing team. Now, one of the ways I actually explain this internally and to our partners' businesses, like, have you watched the movie Inception? I think it's an amazing movie. But effectively, what I want to be doing as a marketer, when I put my marketing hat on, as a marketer, I want to think of the Inception idea, and I want to be able to incept the prospects with the solutions or the answers to the skepticism or objections that they could be having on a sales call. So by the time they get to a sales conversation, they are not having those typical objections. They've already been solved because I've been able to plant a seed, I've been able to plant an idea in their mind and solve it before they get there, which then means I turn my sales team into a bunch of bears with just salmon jumping in their mouth. That's how easy it is because I've done so much of the heavy lifting with the marketing. All right, so there's enough geeking out for now, and I hope this helps you. So if you haven't subscribed, then you know the drill, because I recommend that you do, because in the upcoming episodes, I'm going to be taking you through the exact processes that we use to scale 7- and 8-figure businesses. And if you really want us to be able to then actually come in and actually do the building, installing, and running of the entire marketing system that we're using to sell 20 plus new clients every week, then I suggest you book a free one-on-one demo, because this is not a sales call, but this is our way to first, one, make sure, do you qualify and can we help you? 2, actually answer all of your questions. And 3, in 10 to 15 minutes, figure out and show you how exactly are we going to actually scale your offer as well, which is why we call it a demo. We're literally demonstrating you and showing you everything. So worst case scenario, you get to see behind the scenes and you can run with it. Best case scenario, we just come in and do the work for you and build your business. That's as simple as it is. All the links are in the description for you. And as always, I appreciate your time and energy, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. If you've enjoyed this episode and it's vibed with you, then make sure that you hit subscribe, whether you're on the YouTube or on the podcast. And importantly, if there is any guests that you want me to have on the show, or specific questions or topics that you want me to be able to cover for you, simply put it into the YouTube comments or send me an Instagram DM. That way I can make sure you're getting the most out of actually being here.